Hey everybody, welcome back to a new way to museum here at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. I'm Reese Barrick and I'm here having fun, but a little bit sad because this is going to be our last new way to museum on sort of the set of Sahara sea monsters, which is our traveling exhibit that we've got here this summer, brought to us by Silver Plume Exhibitions. And it will be touring around the country, so if it gets anywhere near you, you have to come visit it. So we talked early on about all the 7 different types of exhibits all found within this one major traveling exhibition. So today we're going to go back in time a little further and talk about trilobites. Trilobites are pretty cool animals, and they're arthropods, right? So they've been around for a long time. 520 million years ago is when they really first showed up. 521, something like that. Don't hold me to it. And they survived all the way up until the Permian mass extinction. So they were around for about 270 million years. That's a long time for this class of animals to have survived. Now, I said they are arthropods. Let's try to speak clearly today, shall we? And as arthropods, they grew by shedding their exoskeleton and then growing a new exoskeleton. So they were always growing and shedding an exoskeleton. That skeleton then oftentimes would get to be preserved in the fossil record. And sometimes you can even see how they would shed their skeleton. You see here, we got some giant trilobites here on the wall. And sometimes they would be crawling around the bottom and they would get into these whole masses of them, maybe having a little, reproductive time. But as they crawl around, you can see all the different parts of a trilobite. So on this particular one, you can see up here along the head, there's a bit of a split here, and that's kind of where they could split and then crawl out their soft bodies and leave the skeleton behind and grow a new one. So they have this a really kind of a fun way of growing. They were around, again, for a long time, and because they were around for 270 million years, there's at least 20,000 species of trilobites. So there's lots of different types of trilobites. It is a whole class of organisms. Now, one of the interesting things is that trilobites sort of have 3 parts to their body plan, and they have the cephalon, which is their head. Then they have the thorax, which is the middle part of their body, and then they have a pygidium, which is the tail part. So they basically have a head, body, and a tail. We just happen to call it a cephalon, thorax, and pygidium. So a lot of times when you're growing up, young little wannabe paleontologist like me, you assume that was why you had 3 trilobites, where there's 3 parts of it. But that's not actually the case. That's not the lobes of the trilobite. So actually the lobes are split into 3 parts this way. So we have a right pleural lobe, that is this part of the body, an axial lobe, which is the center part of the body, and then a left pleural lobe. So those are the 3 lobes of the trilobite, even though there are generally 3 parts of a cephalon, thorax, and pygidium. Kind of fun, unique things to learn once you get into your first paleontology class. One of the first things you learn. So trilobites all over the place, especially in the Cambrian and Ordovician. They sort of dwindled out in the Devonian. And there's only one genus or one small group of trilobites that survived all the way to the Permian mass extinction. But I'm here from a huge mass of very large trilobites. And these guys are a lot of trilobites that you find from Morocco are these large trilobites. But not all trilobites were giant. Some of them were very small. Ooh, I have a cute little trilobite here in my hand. And we'll put him, oh, look at that. Oh, I'm just a baby. Well, actually, all of these trilobites would have started out this small and kept shedding their skeletons and getting bigger and bigger till they got huge. But some trilobites just were always small, and so they didn't probably have nearly as long of a life, and they didn't grow nearly as large. So tiny trilobites, giant trilobites. But their skeletons are interesting because they're not like, they're more like the typical arthropods, like lobsters and crabs today. They have a chitinous exoskeleton. So it's not made out of a shell material like your clams and your snails. They're a lot more flexible, and then easy to shed the chitin and crawl back out, and much easier to grow a new one. It would take forever to try to actually grow a carbonate skeleton over and over and over again. So trilobites, 20,000 species of them, lasted 270 million years, and really dominated a lot of the Cambrian Ordovician oceanscape in the Cambrian oceans and the Paleozoic. So some of the most sort of easily recognizable, famous animals of the Paleozoic, and I think they're pretty darn cool. So thanks for joining me again here on A New Way to Museum. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy talking about trilobites, and we'll see you again next week, next Thursday even, at the Sternberg Museum on A New Way to Museum. Thanks for joining us in A New Way to Museum with the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for notifications when we release a new video. Support us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. You can also follow us on all our social media. Links are found in the description. Thanks for watching, and follow your curiosity to new discoveries.